Imagine you're a 10-year-old girl driving down the highway and you see a horse trailer full of horses going to an unknown destination. And you ask, "Where are they going, Mom?" And she says they're getting shipped over the border to Mexico to be used for human consumption. Over the last 20 years, horse slaughter has been on the rise. On average, about 80,000 horses are shipped to Mexico or Canada yearly to be inhumanely slaughtered. Not only is this a way of population control that is extremely humane, but it also comes with very serious consequences. More often than not, horse meat is used for human consumption, which brings an array of health concerns. Horse meat, unlike cattle, is not intended for human consumption. Horse slaughter needs to be banned because it's incredibly inhumane. Horse meat is not intended for human consumption, and there's no way of regulating the medications horses may consume in its lifetime. So, why should horse slaughter be banned? Horse meat, unlike cattle, is not intended for human consumption. A vast majority of horses who are slaughtered every year spend their lives as either a sport horse, a backyard pet, or were domesticated from the wild. A quote from Dan Lawyer says, "In addition to potentially bute contamination, slaughter opponents argue that horse owners are almost universally give their horses medications, antibiotics, ointments, warmers, and other substances labeled not for animals intended for human consumption. Beef, on the other hand, are raised from birth with the intention of human consumption and are regulated to ensure they don't have anything that could potentially be lethal to a human." Another quote by the Humane Society is, "Horses are gathered from random sources at various stages of their life, and there are no systems in the US to track medications or veterinary records given to them to ensure that their meat is safe for human consumption." So not only are you not really understanding or getting what kind of meat you're really consuming, but there's no way to tell if it's super clean or anything like that. So, during a horse's lifetime, it can receive numerous vaccinations or medications which are toxic if consumed by a human. From birth on, if domesticated, horses are receiving lots of vaccinations throughout their life, just like most humans. Many of these medications are toxic and labeled not for human consumption. Even if the medication is not deemed toxic, it may have other health concerns that have not yet been discovered. And a quote I found was, "Certain medications such as PBZ can cause bone marrow toxicity in humans. The authors assert that there appears to be inadequate testing to ensure that all horses given banned substances such as PBZ do not enter the slaughter pipeline." And that was a quote by Dodman, Blondu, Marini. And this led to the conclusion that consuming American horse meat poses a serious health risk. Not only is this alarming but scary. Imagine being at a restaurant biting into a burger that could potentially be horse meat. These medications horses receive have enough toxicity to affect them. Imagine what it would do to a human. Another problem is horse slaughter is not only dangerous for everyone involved, but it's extremely inhumane. With no regulation on how it's done, some horses are starved to death so they have less energy than are savagely killed. And then a quote by the ASPCA is, "Horses bound for slaughter, who may include pregnant mares, foals, and horses who are injured or blind, are commonly shipped for more than 24 hours at a time in crowded trucks without food, water, or rest." Mexico and Canada make a huge amount of profits off of horse slaughter every single year. They're being paid to be shipped there as well as being paid for the meat that's sold from the slaughterhouses. So about 44% of American slaughter horses are sent to Canadian facilities for humane regulated slaughter, while the other 56% are shipped to Mexico for processing. Although there are 2 EU regulated slaughter facilities in Mexico, many horses are sent to local Mexican butchers that are known to use less humane ways of slaughter. The most brutal and publicized technique, the puntilla knife, includes repeated stabbing of the animal's neck until the spinal cord is severed, a process that often leaves the animal conscious and in unnecessary pain and suffering during the slaughter procedure. And that's another quote by Dan Lawyer. Another quote that I found is, "Horses are skittish by nature, owing to their heightened fight or flight response, which makes the accurate pre-slaughter stunning difficult. As a result, horses are often endure repeated blows and sometimes remain conscious during the dismemberment, this is rarely a quick or painless death, which is another quote by the Humane Society. There are far more ways, humane ways, that a horse can be put down if it seriously needs to be. Americans overwhelmingly support an end to the horse slaughter for human consumption, which was a recent poll done in Kentucky, Texas, and Utah that showed about 82, 72, and 69% of those questions the opposed of the practice. A recent national poll found that almost 70% of Americans were in favor of banning horse slaughter. In California, a ballot done in 1998 banning horse slaughter from human consumption passed with a 60% vote, and that was another quote I found online. While horse slaughter may help regulate the population, there are far more humane ways to do so. The vast majority of horses that end up in the slaughter pipelines were either backyard pets that fell into sticky situations or competition horses that were deemed unusable. Horse slaughter has been around for decades, and there's no denying that there's fault in the system. The cruel and inhumane punishment that horses undergo while being slaughtered is outright barbaric. Horses have been a form of transportation for years and were key in army fights and traveling. Without horses, soldiers would not have been able to get around, or even before there's the invention of cars. These animals deserve much better treatment. If a horse needs to be put down, they should be sent to a vet where they can do so peacefully. If this form of euthanasia is not affordable, there should be an alternative way or a cheaper option for people to do so. Horse slaughter needs to be banned because of the inhumane treatment of the horses, the toxic quality of horse meat used for human consumption, and the dangers of possibly lethal human medications that a horse may receive in its lifetime.